If you're a man over 6 feet or a woman over 5'8", then this video is for you. Calisthenics is often seen as a sport where anybody can succeed if they put in the work. And yes, that's absolutely true, and you'll hear me say that all the time. But here's the thing. There's some physical factors that make your progress a little more challenging than others. And here's the reality of being tall in calisthenics. And let's get it out of the way right away. I'm not a giant, but at 6'1" and 180 pounds, I'm considered tall in the world of calisthenics. And to be honest with you, sometimes being tall comes with its own sets of struggles when it comes to bodyweight training. And it's really not about making excuses or saying that taller people can't be good at calisthenics. It's about understanding the different challenges that our body present and learning how to deal with them, not against them. In calisthenics, weight distribution and leverage play a huge role in how we move, and taller bodies tend to face steeper learning curves. Let's take a handstand for example. Pressing into a clean handstand is really hard, but if you've got a longer torso and shorter legs, then it might feel a little easier. Your legs, that are really the heaviest part of your body weight, don't really have to move as far. The shorter lever makes it easier to get into that position, and even if it's not a clean press, it will still be easier. But for us that have longer legs weigh more and they have to travel a greater distance to get into that handstand. That means more effort, more balance, and a lot more patience. The extra length just makes everything just a bit harder, which can feel frustrating when you're putting in the work but feel that progress is slower than you would like. Here's another example. Let's take the front and back levers. These moves demand a crazy amount of strength, but it's even tougher when you got long arms, simply because the longer your arms are, the more you have to lean back into that front lever, and that added lean back makes the move way harder to hold, even if you've got a good amount of muscle mass. So it's really not just about strength, it's about angles. Shorter athletes don't really have to lean as far back on the lever, which gives them a natural advantage. And it's really not impossible to achieve those moves if you're tall, but it's definitely going to be a steeper climb. Now let's talk about movements that are easier than that. Foundation movements just like pull-ups, push-ups, and some muscle-ups that are also a foundation. And if you've got longer arms, you are going to have to work through a longer range of motion through every rep. That means you need more power to get your chin over the bar or transition if you're doing a muscle up. So it's really not that tall people can get good at these moves. They absolutely can. But if you feel that you're putting more effort for the same result as someone that's shorter, it's because you are. It's the same story with push-ups. Taller people are pushing their body through a longer range of motion through every rep. Over time, that extra distance adds up. And again, not about making excuses, but understanding why it feels more challenging. Another movement like the simple squat. If you have long legs and long femurs, you've probably noticed that getting into a deep squat feels a lot harder than it does for shorter people. And that's because tall people have to deal with more extreme angles at the knees and hips, making it harder to maintain balance and generate force in general. So there's a reason why you don't see a lot of competitive lifters of gymnasts over 6 feet tall. It's because the shorter your limbs are, the more efficient your movement. At the end of the day, it does matter, but it's not the end of the world. It's not a limitation, it's just a factor. Taller athletes will face steeper learning curves, but that doesn't mean they can't achieve the same level of mastery as someone that's shorter. It might just take a little more time, and you have to make adjustments to your training, but the results will still show. The great thing about calisthenics is that it's adaptable. So if you can't do a movement, really it's all about adjusting the progression and mastering your control over your own body weight in the end. So whether you're tall, short, or somewhere in between, you can always make progress. First, push harder if you're taller. If you're tall, you need to tweak up your approach and be patient with yourself. You might need to spend more time on intermediate progressions, like a tug version for the lever, and or use more bands. Take time to use bands for back and front levers. You can stick your feet in the band or you can put the band around your hips. Both approaches work, and you just may need to spend more time in this to solidify your foundation. If you're carrying extra weight, then you want to focus on leaning down and ramping up your cardio workout. And if your biomechanics are not perfect, if you have long legs, long femurs for squats, for example, you might want to refine your technique and mobility and focus on muscles that are essential for that movement. If it's the squat and you're tall, it's very likely that you need to work on your adductor muscles and your hip flexors. So whatever your starting point is, the goal is the same. Just keep going, keep improving, and don't let anything hold you back. It's all about learning how to work with your own body instead of fighting it. So if you're ready to take your training to the next level, Join the online Calisthenics Academy, come train with me, and I'll see you in the next video.